Today I want to talk about an issue that's very near and dear to my heart, and even nearer and dearer to my anus: lactose intolerance. As most of you know, lactose intolerance is a condition where the afflicted can't properly digest lactose, a sugar found in milk and dairy products. This digestive shortcoming is the result of the body not producing enough of the enzyme lactase, and in the case of people with more severe lactose intolerance, the genes responsible for producing the enzyme did their best impression of my father and completely disappeared when I turned 5. That's one of the interesting things about lactose intolerance. It's similar to alcoholism in the sense that people are more likely to develop it as they grow older, but instead of it typically happening as a college freshman, people that develop lactose intolerance usually start seeing symptoms around the time they reach adolescence, and the rest of their life starts going downhill. Like most things in life, intelligence, athleticism, wealth, lactose intolerance is the result of genetics. Here we have a map of the pervasiveness of lactose intolerance around the world. As you can see, places like Eastern Asia and southern parts of Africa and South America are particularly prone to dairy sensitivity. This is a glaring example of the fact that lactose intolerance is inversely correlated with happiness, while directly correlated with the people that beat me at the SAT and 100-meter dash. One common misconception is that lactose intolerance is a food allergy, which actually isn't the case, because food allergies cause a reaction in the immune system and also tell you if a person's going to get bullied in school. Symptoms of allergic reactions include, but are not limited to, tingling or itching in the mouth, hives, swelling of the lips, tongue, or throat, wheezing, nausea, and more. If I'm ever having a hard time remembering these, I just think about what happens to me whenever I order at a drive-thru without practicing. Even more serious than the previously mentioned symptoms, allergies can cause anaphylaxis. This means victims may suffer from tightening of airways, swollen throat, shock with severe loss of blood pressure, rapid pulse, loss of consciousness, and to the envy of myself, possibly even death. All in all, the symptoms of allergies are typically much more serious than those for intolerances. That is, unless you were born before the 1960s, in which case your intolerances are probably racial and deeply rooted. With that all cleared up, the symptoms for lactose intolerance are much like my friend's: incredibly unpleasant. The common symptoms of lactose intolerance are varying degrees of gastrointestinal distress, ranging from mild gas and bloating, all the way to turning your anus into Niagara Falls at the first sight of your trendy friends preparing a charcuterie board. And if you're wondering where on the spectrum I fall, I've been told it's pretty obvious. One way you can avoid these pesky symptoms is pretty simple. Just don't eat. And while an eating disorder comes with its own host of problems, as I always say, nothing tastes as good as not shitting your pants feels. In all seriousness, you can combat lactose intolerance by learning what milk is, pretty simple, and avoiding foods that use it. Common examples of these being cheeses, yogurts, and ice creams. And if I could choose out of those, ice cream is the one I would do just terrible things to be able to digest. In fact, if I could change any single quality about myself, it'd be that I wasn't such a fat. Avoiding foods with lactose can be made easier by implementing milk alternatives to your diet, the most common of these being soy, almond, or coconut based. My favorite out of these is almond milk. Almond milk is a great alternative for milk because, in my opinion, it tastes better than regular milk. It's low calorie, it's a good source of vitamin A, it's usually fortified to contain a good amount of vitamin D and calcium. And given my history as a fraternity member in college, the thought of allowing nuts to dribble down the back of my throat is much more palatable than it should be. Another route to overcoming lactose intolerance lies in the use of lact-aid or other supplements. These products put lactase into your body and help your intestines do their fucking job and act like they've been there before. This has been my secret weapon since I turned 16 and really came to grips with the fact that I'm of a weaker gene pool than most. Really though, these things have changed my life from feeling terrible anytime I had milk or any milk derivative, to making it look like I have an opioid addiction with how often I pop pills in public. My final advice about lactose intolerance is that dairy is like anything else in life. It's generally okay in moderation, but you gotta know there's always going to be consequences for the decisions that you make. If you don't use condoms, you're going to end up with a kid. If you major in advertising, you're going to be unemployed. And if you're lactose intolerant and drink a big old glass of leche, you're gonna regret that the closest you've been to church in a year is being hung over in the Chick-fil-A down the street.